Again. Yesterday my husband and I we went on a road trip, so that was really fun, and I got some footage. So I hope you guys stick around and watch that. Also, I would like to thank everybody for continuously supporting and watching my channel. And if you would like to help support my channel, just be sure you like and subscribe my channel, and that you leave a comment, because I love hearing from people and I love hearing people's thoughts. And I'm just a pretty chill person, and I just like to send good vibes and be a happy person and send out light and happiness into the world if I can possibly do anything at that. But yeah, yeah, just enjoy. Thanks, guys. Bye.
this one looks to be about a 2 gallon or a gallon and a half. But I wouldn't recommend that size. This is because I'm not up here with a big pot. So, a couple things about tomato planting. Tomato, I can't think of any other plant you would plant in this manner, but a tomato will root anywhere it's touching the soil. So any of this buried underground is going to form roots. So you can always see all the little hair-looking structures on these tomatoes. Those are all potential roots, okay? Again, the bigger your root system, the healthier your tomato plant's going to be. So if I were at home in my garden, or I was using a big 10-gallon pot, I would literally bury this guy up to here, okay? So I would put all this underground. So every bit of this is going to form a nice big root system. It will come with snippers. You can pinch them off, but you're opening up more scarring that way. I would snip off all these leaves and stems that would be underground. Did you have a question?
You could buy an 8+ inch plant, but then you would go plant half under the soil.
Yes, I would. Okay, and you'll also want to think about having a nice several inches knot of leaves above the soil line too. Again, we're worried about things, pathogens splashing up, okay, from the soil. So, you know, also if I were at home, you could, and you have you've got some space, I would trench this too. You could also trench it, so you could lay it down to the side, dig your nice long deep trench, and then carefully kind of mold this tomato top right up out of the top, okay, and plant it like this. Again, you've got that nice big root structure that's going to form there, okay. But in a pot, you're not going to have that space, so you're going to fill to the appropriate level, bottom half or whatever. And then you're going to start adding some fertilizer. Yes?
Why do you lay it that way instead of straight up if it's going to root down?
It's going to just expand that root base. But two, also, this is more applicable in the spring when we have a lot of spring winds. All those winds can be damaging to dry the tomatoes and damaging to the leaves. So you're also keeping that plant a little bit lower to the ground where it's not susceptible to all the wind damage. Okay, so I'm going to add some organic fertilizer. This product is MicroLife, and this is what I just happen to use, but there are all kinds of great organic fertilizers. If you use conventional fertilizer, go for it. But this is MicroLife, and they have a lot of different products, but I've never had this, burn any plants. Sometimes you have to be careful with fertilizer because maybe it's a little too hot in heat and it's just a little too strong for the plant. But I've never had that issue with MicroLife. So what you're going to do is take at least a half a cup. I'll usually just take my little hand trowel and get a whole hand trowel filled and put that in the bottom of your hole. And then you just want to stir that all in so it's totally incorporated in the soil. And then I would take rock phosphate. Now I'm not going to do it today because I'm not going to open this product, but this is rock phosphate. Phosphate will act as a root stimulator. It also is going to help with budding, flowering, and this just gives that new plant just a little extra bump. So you're going to take your hand trowel, and these are all organic, but especially when I teach the little kids, I'm always stressing use a tool even though it's organic. It's just a good habit because most people still use conventional fertilizers, which you never want to touch with your hands. So always just use a tool when you're using fertilizers. So all I would do was just get a little tip end of this rock phosphate. I'm talking just maybe just a little bit on the end of this trowel, Then you're going to sprinkle that around in the hole. Now you don't mix that in. You just leave that so that the roots can make contact. So then we remove our plant. This one looks good. Sometimes if you get a little small 4-inch transplant and you're heavily root bound and the roots are all tangled, you do want to loosen those roots, let them know they're out of that situation. It's time to start going in another direction. If they're badly root bound, sometimes if you leave it that way, it can continue in that little growth cycle, and you wouldn't have a healthy root system at that point. So you do want to break those up. But this one looks good. And so now you just place it in your pot or in your hole, and then you would fill the soil in the rest of the pot. And then, again, if this were a bigger pot, I would be going halfway up and removing those leaves. So then you're going to come in with some mulch, and you're going to mulch around the transplant. And then you're going to water deeply, okay? And that would be the process. Now at this point, if you're going to stake, go ahead and put your stake in, because once your roots start growing, you don't know, how much you can damage roots when you go putting that stake down in the ground. If you're using a cage, you can put it on there, or you can wait, a couple of weeks. Yes?
If you've already planted your plants and you didn't put mulch down, is it advisable to do it now?
Yes, absolutely. You put mulch down anytime. But yeah, go in and do that right now.
And
As soon as you get home.
Is there a brand that you suggest?
No, I don't know. I don't. I do like to use, there's so many, you can buy rubberized pellets and things. I like to think about what I'm adding in the way of amending the soil, so when that decomposes, what is it going to be adding to the soil? So if you kind of think about it that way, it could be about aesthetics, is this going to be out somewhere where people can see it, you want a prettier mulch, it's kind of a personal thing. For me, I like to, in the schools, we actually, because of the ease of it and everything, we use hay, but we use alfalfa. Alfalfa is the most expensive. I think it's up to about $25, $26 a bale right now. But the thing about alfalfa is it's the most nutritious, so when it breaks down, you're really adding a lot of good nutrients. Plus, it's the most weed-free. If you buy coastal hay or landscape hay, that stuff can be loaded with weed seeds. The next thing you know, you have all kind of nutsedge and different weeds coming up in your garden. So I'm very wary of using that. But it works pretty well in our schools. Again, just economics and transportation and having enough product. So anything. Yes? Well, compost is always great to add pre-planting. In fact, if you were just preparing a bed now, I would always go in and add a couple inches of good compost. But if it's depending on how fine or large the compost is, most compost I buy really well screened, so it's pretty small stuff. So it's not really going to add as a mulch necessarily. You want something that's going to form a nice cooling mat and help hold moisture in. With compost, that's too fine. It's going to drain. It's not going to do the same thing that a larger product.
I have my own compost.
Oh, you have your own compost. Well, that's awesome.
So you just add it in.
You could do that, or just add, like I said, I like to always add a couple of inches. I have a big compost pile that I too have used at my house and keep covered with tarps, and so anytime I'm going to go in and start planting, I'm going to add a couple layers, a couple inches on top, just from the get-go. Yeah. Okay, any questions on planting? Bye.